What is happening, people? Welcome to my F1 channel. Welcome to Peter on Pole. My name is Peter, in pole position in the lead up to Drive to Survive Season 3. I have been doing reviews for every single episode, starting from Season 1. And guess where we are right now? Season 2, Episode 1, Lights Out. We'll start things off with the title, Lights Out. I think it's a very good title, very good way to start. It makes sense, pretty self-explanatory. No complaints about the title, nothing really much to say, but it was very simple, straight to the point. You got exactly what it meant, especially using the language of Formula One. And yeah, absolutely brilliant. Now, in this season, and particularly this episode, I expected to see more Christian Horner. I think he was my favourite character in the first season. I think he was somebody who I really... whenever he spoke, I was really engaged with. His narration is superb. He's brilliant. I think he's got a future definitely in acting for sure. So I expected to see more Christian Horner, which we got, and also to explain or to tell us what the new engine would be for next year. Because if you remember in the first season, Red Bull left Renault. So it was a case of who's going to be the new engine company, who's going to be the one that's going to supply the engine. Will it be good? Will it be great? And we got that as well, which was brilliant. In fact, we even got footage of Red Bull going over to Japan because they joined Honda. And they did like an exhibition out there, Max Verstappen in the Red Bull car. It was quite an old car because it was without the halo. And, you know, they were sort of giving off a show sort of thing, you know, doing a few donuts, racing around the street circuit. Fans were lapping it up. And of course, you know, Honda being an engine supplier from Japan, it was just a brilliant bit of footage to catch, and Christian Horner, you know, explains quite bluntly in a way that, you know, Honda, we're starting with you, but we have to make sure that this engine is the right one, because they took a big risk leaving Renault. Of course, they'd been there for like, what, 12 years, so the relationship was long. But to see Honda back in Formula One, I think everybody was pretty much happy to welcome that. Again, they've also got some history, Honda. They've been world champions before under McLaren. So you sort of expect the best really from them. So it was really going to put the front, let's say the front three, you know, 3 different engines. So it was quite a good mix of all 3. I expected more Haas, not because I necessarily wanted to see more Haas, because I felt like, you know what, it was great fun, it was great entertainment in the season, but too much of it can be a bit annoying. But we did get it, and I'm not surprised by that, only because they were a success in season 1. They provided great entertainment, and it would be silly of Netflix really to not include them, at least in the first season and in the first episode anyway. So, you know, as I expected, they were there, and yeah, it was quite an interesting one. They had a new look, a new car. It was black and gold. I hope they go into detail why that happened, because obviously in the first season you had the sort of white, red, a bit of grey, dark black sort of car, which looked beautiful. The new car in this season, I didn't like the look of the car, but I like the team's merch, if you will. Like, I felt like the black and gold was just so much better. It's more easier to wear like day to day. But the car itself didn't look that great. It just looked a bit bland. That's what it was. The colours are not too bad. It just looked a bit bland. And I noticed the Rich Energy logo. So I wonder if they're going to jump into that, see what, you know, tell us what's happened there. Because it looks like they've got some money that's been backed into that. So yeah, you know, the 2 things I expected, I don't know if I expected any more. More Danny Ricciardo, yeah, more Danny Ricciardo, which of course we got. Because we're in Australia, I just assumed they're going to have Danny Ricciardo. Of course, the story of the backlog of him leaving Red Bull to join Renault. So I'm glad we did get a piece of that action as well. I feel like the direction of Netflix was to give us something strong. See, you know, episode 1, season 2, you know, everybody is delighted. Where, you know, we've been left on a high from season 1 because it was something fresh, it was something new. You know, when it's brand new, you take whatever you get the first time. The second season, however, you need to sort of deliver and meet the expectations of fans like myself. And I think they did very, very good, because when they came out the gate, they came out with a big team, strong. We saw Mercedes, we saw Ferrari. Of course, we had Red Bull in there. And I felt like, you know, they were trying to make a statement like, oh, just in case you thought Ferrari and Mercedes didn't want none of this, oh, they're in it this time round. So the minute I saw those images of Binotto, you saw Toto Wolff, Lewis Hamilton, I thought, okay, here we go. You know, here we go. And of course, I think Ferrari had to be there because of the story we had about Charles Leclerc in Alfa Romeo. I think we had to have that, you know. But luckily, you know, not every team has to abide by it. But thankfully, we're going to see a bit of Mercedes and Ferrari. Netflix also gave you some of the old school, last season's characters, if you will. So, you know, like I said, Haas, Danny Ricciardo, Red Bull. They gave you that because they had to sort of balance the two. They had to give you not just the same old from last season. They gave you a bit of a new one, a strong punch. But in the back of your mind, you did think, oh, are we going to touch on the other teams? And they did. They brought back the main characters, if you will, of the last team, of the last season, rather. So, you know, they started the season strong. I mean, really strong. And I feel like, do you know what? As much as I love that, as much as they've hit hard, I feel like, I wonder if they're going to, now it's going to sort of, it's going to go downhill from it. Not downhill like it's going to be bad episodes, but because they started so strong, with such a strong dose, that now they're going to start giving us 10 grams for the next, 10 episodes. And I feel like, maybe that could be a bit dangerous. We'll see how it goes. You never know. They might come in with another strong one again. So we'll find out and we'll wait and see. What I like about this episode, and I think what I liked about last season as well in particular, and the way that Netflix seemed to direct and produce, is they give you some context. They go back a few months, and you can't miss it. It will tell you, 3 months earlier. It will tell you 3 weeks later. In just, plain black, white writing, black background, basically, white writing, bold lettering, and so you ain't got to be like confused. Okay, what are we doing now? What's happening? I love that because it kind of gives you that whole feel of what it's like to be in the garage or with the team. We're going through the Danny Ricciardo piece where he's gone to Renault and he's gone to the HQ 3 months prior to the Australian Grand Prix. And he's meeting all the staff and he's going through the offices, he's meeting the people, he's looking at the massive factory that Renault have, and it kind of puts into context again how big this team is, but also just the relationship and the way that they communicate with each other, the way members of staff communicate with each other, the way that the driver, like Danny Ricciardo, for example, communicates with the staff that he's meeting for the first time. And I just don't know, like I said to you in the first season, I'm a bit of a fiend for that kind of footage, because you want to see how they're like off camera. And obviously they were on camera, but it felt like it did seem natural. I wouldn't say anything seemed fake or staged or nothing like that. I felt like this is just naturally how they are. And it was just good to just get a little bit of a piece of inside and see just how they sort of develop. What was weird was that Ricciardo looked like a guy who'd never been in a Formula One team before, because the way he was sort of walking in and out of different rooms, checking the factory out, looking at the offices, it seemed like Red Bull is another planet. It seems like they do things completely different. And I wonder if we will ever get to know behind the scenes of how Red Bull operates. I doubt it, but if we do, then it'll explain quite a lot why Ricciardo seemed very surprised, or seemed very pleasantly surprised at the prospect of Renault and how much of a big team they are. In the last season, his advisor talks about how, when they showed us what the project was, what the plan was for Renault, and you got to see this huge manufacturing company, you got to see this huge Formula One team, and it made me think, okay, what is Red Bull then? Because Red Bull to me is a machine, it's a global brand, and to be on Formula One and, just have Red Bull sort of tattooed all over the car, it's nothing but great business for Formula One and for Red Bull. I liked seeing a happy Danny Ricciardo. And what I mean by that is that, we got a Danny Ricciardo in the first season who can be happy, can be sad, can be indifferent. But I've never truly seen him this happy as I did first weekend in Australia with his new team Renault. He just seemed, he had a bit more life. Now, of course, maybe because the season's over and, you've got weeks and months until the season starts. So maybe he just recharged the batteries to get a bit of more of a bubblier Danny Ricciardo. But it just seemed like the shackles were off. It just seemed like he broke free a little bit from Red Bull, where he needed to become his own. He was taking responsibility for the team. He sort of mentioned that the team will depend on him to do well. And to develop the car. So it was just interesting to see. He just seemed much happier, and I can't obviously, there are obvious reasons why that might be the case. But in terms of how was he happier, it's very difficult to tell. But he had a bit of a spring, he had a bit of a bounce in his step, which I thought, wow, okay, this could be amazing. The way they've set this up, like him and Renault could just be a match made in heaven. What surprised me, my goodness, starting things off with Mattia Binotto, jeez, that's what I'm talking about. You know, once you get to see some Ferrari in there, all of a sudden it just made it brightened everything up. It made it way more interesting. I thought, brilliant, we're gonna get some Ferrari in there. This is what we need. Like that was what was missing from the first season, and I didn't even know it. Like I didn't notice it at all. But when Ferrari came into the scene, you thought, okay, here we go. Then bang, Toto Wolff, Lewis Hamilton. Oh my God, it was all a bit too much. You gave me it in one hit. Come on, you have to slow it down, Netflix, okay? I barely just got over the fact Binotto was on there. Then Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton. That was a brilliant surprise. I loved that because it made me think, okay. And they were talking about the championship. So I thought, so we're going to get a bit of front end action as well. Hilarious how Lewis Hamilton and Toto Wolff couldn't officially say what their name was, the team name was. You know, they were asking Mercedes-Benz, is it? You know, I was just like, okay, if Toto Wolff doesn't know, then why the heck do I expect Lewis Hamilton to do it? Because obviously, Toto, come on, you got to lead by example. Obviously, Valtteri Bottas, nonchalant, knew exactly what to say, gave it the whole Patronus AMG, gave it the full beans. I expected nothing less. Danny Ricciardo's helmet, did anybody get a glimpse of that? Because all of a sudden, I started seeing colours. I was seeing an array of colours there, and I was thinking, wait a minute, why didn't he have this at Red Bull? And it got me thinking straight away, there's no chance. You know, Red Bull's team, the livery, the helmets, they've got to have Red Bull all over the place. It's got to be tattooed with Red Bull. I'm pretty sure the contract is on a different scale. And that's the difference between a brand company, let's say, and let's say a car manufacturer. They're completely two different ends of the spectrum. When you look at Daniel Ricciardo's helmets at Red Bull, I didn't get any of his character in there. Whereas this helmet now, all of a sudden I'm getting a bit more of, this is what Danny's really like, you know. So there's little things like that which his personality kind of showed on his helmet. It did get me thinking, you know, Red Bull, let your drivers loose a little bit on the helmet side. But then again, it kind of ruins the uniform. So I kind of do like it at the same time. I mean, they let them have something at the top, I think it is. On top of the helmet, there's a bit of a uniqueness there. But all around the, you know, sort of just, you know, above the visor and everything else, it's purely in the Red Bull colours, which is interesting. But I like the uniform of it too. But then, you know, I'm glad not every team is like that. Let's put it that way. I like the mixture. Things I was sad about, of course, Danny Ricciardo's race in Australia. It did not end well at all. It didn't start well and it didn't end well either. He lost his front wing at the start and, you know, he came into the pits, changed the nose, went back out, felt vibrations. The car was completely damaged. He had to retire in Australia. So no podium yet again for him in Australia, which is sad. No podium for an Australian in Australia. And you couldn't make this one up. Haas, yet again in Australia, had a pit stop issue. I mean, what? Like, Romain Grosjean having a great race. He's pushing the hell out of that car. Time to get him in the pits. He's on some good pace. Magnussen as well had a good race as well. They get into the pits and the pit stop takes forever. The front left tire. What am I talking about? The front left tire. Forever to get that tire on. Took some time. They got it in there in the end. He's gone out. And he's saying, and you know, you're hearing Grosjean on the team radio, guys, what's going on? And he's even saying, talk to me, brother, to his engineer. It's when you know it's desperate times. When you're calling them brother, when you're calling them family, that's when you know he needs you right now. But lo and behold, the wheel is not on again. It's not on properly. And I swear, you couldn't make this up. How did I feel about the episode overall? Listen, it was a great start. I thought it was a very punchy start. To begin with, strong dose, as I mentioned earlier. It does make me feel weary about later on, because I don't know whether or not they're going to live up to the expectation. Out of 10, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, because I think it came very, very strong. And I don't want to be one of those guys who doesn't give a 10 out of 10 for an episode. Yes, maybe they could have improved on things, but I'll need to have some long time sit down and think about it, really, as to what they should have improved. I didn't want to be that guy, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, because I don't see it getting much better than this episode, personally. But it will be more concentrated to specific teams, specific drivers, maybe some rivalries. Whereas in this one, it was a big bang. We got like 4 or 5 different teams. We got situations from the past. There was about 8 stories in that first episode, which was a lot. But I think it was only fair to do so because it was episode 1. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I am going to give them a 10 out of 10. I thought it was a very hard-hitting, very punchy start, and it's just got me looking forward to episode 2. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this episode. If you like the video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. My name is Peter, in pole position. On to episode 2.